Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/PettyRevenge for you all. As per usual, I'll be narrating the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Kasasagi thief. Customer came in demanding I break the rules for her. I'm an overnight cashier at a gas station. Pretty chill most nights. There's a few bad apples, as always, but nothing too bad. Every now and then, I'll get an entitled customer that demands I sell them beer without an ID, against state law. Wouldn't dream of it. Or sell them cigarettes despite being 20. Sorry kids, not happening. One lady though, she really got under my skin. Happened a while back. She comes in around 11:30, so well past the time we shut down lottery. We turn off the machine at 10 as per our store regulations. There's a ton of updates the machine undergoes nightly, and it takes 6 to 7 hours. I keep an eye on her, and notice she has one of the ball draw style lotto cards in her hand. I call out and explain that our machine is off for the night, so I cannot sell her the tickets. She scoffs loudly and says I'm lying and don't want to do my job. I reiterate that the machine is already undergoing maintenance, so she will have to return at 5 a.m. when the machine is ready for service. She throws the ticket on the ground and stomps to the beer. Now, I'm already annoyed, and in my head, I know I'll make sure my coworker takes care of her next time. I don't want to deal with this drama. She comes back to the counter, beer cans in tow, and slams them on the counter. I grab one to scan and ask the lady for her ID. Lady, once again, scoffs and asks if it's really necessary. She has wrinkles older than me. I explain that it's store policy and state law to see ID for alcohol purchases. We go back and forth for 5 minutes. It only ends when I tell her she can either give me the ID so I can do my job, or she can leave beerless and lottoless. She passes me her ID, face bright red, and the lady just starts going off at this point, saying I need to lose my job. My manager, whom she called by name, would be so upset to hear how I'm treating a regular. I write my name, my manager's free time for the next day, and tell her she is free to come in and complain about me doing my job. It'll go absolutely great for her. She snatches the paper and starts asking me to sell her cigarettes. I tell her I'm not selling her anything else, as she has repeatedly made me uncomfortable and I have the right to refuse service to anyone, for any reason. She leaves, screaming that she's going to come back and kick my ass. I leave a long text my managers in the group chat explaining what happened along with a description of her. Couple of hours later, some of my regulars come in for their nightly coffees. 2 of the local sheriffs. I give them the rundown of what transpired, and one of them promises to swing through a few times for a few nights to make sure she's not causing trouble. Here is where I get petty. She had parked at the front of the store. I had perfect view of her license plates, so I took note and waited. Lady shows up 2 nights later and parks by the dumpster. She's standing on the sidewalk for 2 hours, waiting for me to come outside. About an hour in, I call the tow service our store uses. I say there's a broken down car in our parking lot in prime parking position, as per rules. Cops come through, as they always do, for coffee, and they ask me if she's the customer harassing me. I confirm it. They go out and talk to her. At this point, the tow truck pulls in. Lady starts walking away from the talks to talk to the driver, confused and pissed. I didn't get to hear much of the encounter, but I watched as she got arrested, put in the back of a patrol car, and they waited for the tow truck to finish hauling off her car before leaving. No idea what happened to her. She hadn't come back in, and I didn't get in trouble with management. These stories kind of break my heart a little bit. So because I'm a night owl and I need my caffeine fix, and before I switched over to GamerSupps, I used to scurry over to the gas station, get my caffeine, and chat with the gas station attendant for a bit and, head on my merry way. Now, I've had conversations with a lot of midnight gas station clerks. A lot of them. I've met a lot of them, had conversations with a ton of them, and from almost every conversation I've had, not only are they super chill people, but also they are dying for things to do. So the idea that OP is just being lazy and not wanting to do their job is kind of ridiculous because, from what I understand, the midnight gas station attendant craves the busy work. Their bodies yearn for the mines. And it's because of that that you should know that when a gas station attendant tells you that they can't do something, they mean it because they want to find something to do. I can also never understand being mean to the midnight attendants because they're just chill people. I have only ever had positive encounters with the midnight gas station attendants, so it always sucks hearing stories of them being treated so poorly. Outer Senshi, please message me in the group chat. Alright, but you won't like it. I have a coworker I don't get along with. I tried being friendly with him when I first started, but he listened to a coworker who worked in my unit and she only ever spoke badly about me. She later admitted it's because she has a hard time making friends, is shy, and sometimes being a little bit mean helps her open up. Anyway, this coworker guy is only ever nice and helpful to the girls. For the longest time, I was the only guy in my unit. That meant that if he had info he needed to share with me, he would take it to my boss. If he had info to share to anyone else in my unit, he would come bearing gifts, usually Mexican or Japanese snacks. He prefers his private messages to be only from the girls in the office. Recently, he directly told me to only message him in the group chat. If it hadn't been for the way he told me, I would have been okay. There are managers in the group chat, timestamps, etc. I began to message him in the group chat, but only to point out his errors, showing that he was making people wait up to an hour to hear from him on issues that normally take 2 to 5 minutes to get a response back on, sending messages that people are on hold for him and implying that he should be taking calls he promises to take and not leaving them to flirt with girls in the office. In the last hour of the day, he came back to me and just quickly said, "Please send messages for me directly to me." I didn't. He was very stern in needing the messages for him in the group chat. Yeah, if he's only willing to have direct messages with the female coworkers but not the male coworkers, that's pretty fucking sus, not gonna lie. And that's really all I can say on that because he f***ed around and he found out. But I do have a fun little story to add to this. Back during my first job, we had a group chat for everyone to be in. I think it was on Telegram, but I don't fully remember. It was a long time ago. But anyways, there was an employee that I did not like, and I had good reason to, because he was on the registry. And when I brought it to management's attention, they did f***ing nothing, and he was working with minors. Unfortunately for me, because of my position that I was in high school, I didn't really have an option to switch jobs. It was one of the few ways I had to have an income at the time, so I couldn't just quit and leave. It was also the only job I could get within bike riding distance because I was still saving up for my first car at the time. Well, because of his actions that got him put on the registry, he was kicked out of his house and kind of drifting from place to place and living with other coworkers at the time. Making up some kind of excuse about why he was drifting couch to couch. Anyways, he started doing his laundry in the restaurant because we had a washer and dryer for the towels. And the managers let him just do it. He just used to do his laundry during work hours and would just come in and do his laundry. It was weird as hell. And the managers just let him do it. I do not know why. But anyways, he texted in the group chat something about, "Hey guys, I have this limited edition Star Wars shirt. Please don't put it in the dryer, it needs to air dry." To which I responded to the group chat, "Good news everyone, I just acquired a limited edition Star Wars shirt." And apparently, this motherfucker had sprinted from wherever he was to the restaurant to grab his shirt, and he arrived out of breath. I didn't care, because I was in the middle of playing Battlefleet Gothic Armada, and I was not about to race him to the restaurant to go and steal his shirt. I just thought it was funny, and I didn't think he would actually take it seriously and sprint to the restaurant to save his shirt from me. Lo myope. She tried to plagiarize my work. I went nuclear. During my freshman year at university, I had been working on a group project with 4 other people. We had completed an experiment as part of a physics module, and each needed to write a report, approximately 2,500 words, to be assessed. As the deadline for this module fell slap bang in the middle of a really active few weeks, I took the uncharacteristically organized decision to write and submit my report a few weeks early. Job done! Free to party over varsity week. However, one of my colleagues left everything until last minute, and called me in a panic 2 days before the due date, and asked if I could share my report with her so that she could understand how to structure the report and present the data. Me, being a bit dopey and probably still a bit intoxicated from a week of partying, sent her my report in its entirety. The following day, night before submission, she called me again and asked if I could proofread her report and make any minor adjustments I saw before she submitted. I agreed, and she emailed the document over. Much to my horror, she had basically copied and pasted my entire report. I couldn't believe that she was moronic enough to send me the report to look at, given that she had plagiarized the whole thing. And this is where I became quite vengeful and petty. I first used the find and replace function on Word and replaced commonly used words from our experiment with vulgarities. I then replaced a step-by-step methodology from our experiment with a step-by-step recipe for spaghetti bolognese. The data table was replaced with the box scores from the NFL games that weekend. I took the time to change the authors' names and their references to characters from Harry Potter, i.e. Weasley et al. 2009, Dumbledore and Grindelwald 2008. To top things off, I rewrote her conclusion as a confession that she had attempted to plagiarize the report. I sent the revised document to her and fully expected to receive an angry phone call in response. I did receive an angry phone call 3 weeks later when she was called in for a faculty meeting due to academic misconduct. Apparently, being the dingbat she had not even proofread the document I had sent her and had just submitted it. She hadn't just failed the module, but was under threat of expulsion, as through trying to blame me for the content of the document, she had inadvertently admitted to attempted plagiarism. Upon returning to the faculty 5 years later as a research fellow, I discovered that the director of teaching had kept a copy of the report and routinely showed it to students as a warning not to plagiarize. Too long didn't read, a fellow student plagiarized my work, so I edited it to make her look like a complete moron. So I have only ever once cheated on a test, and it was in 5th grade, and it was one of the most dumbest, just fucking ridiculous ways I could have ever cheated on a test ever. So it was in 5th grade. It was for the U.S. History 13 colonies, and I could not, for the life of me, remember the states. So my dumbass, in the middle of a test, walked up every 5 minutes, would go to my cubby, check a map of the United States, and go back. And I did this 5 times. And of course I got caught. And the worst part is I had to write a letter to my father explaining what I had done, and my dad had to call and confirm with the teacher. Now, that was a death sentence. That meant no Xbox for a week, alright? 10-year-old me could not comprehend the pain I was going to be in for. An entire week without Halo Reach? What was 10-year-old me ever going to do? But yeah, that's the only time I've ever actually been academically dishonest. My number one tip is never, ever give your finished work to another student, because that is a death sentence for your academic career. One of my friends, actually in high school, they had given their entire finished essay to someone else as a hey, here's how I structured this, quite literally how this went. And I remember the conversation that this smug little bastard had. He's like, well, the teacher doesn't actually read the assignments and essays that he hands out. He just skims it real quick and then, puts a grade on it. So he thought he was being real clever by just changing the first paragraph and submitted someone else's assignment with the first paragraph rearranged. And that was when we learned that, yes, the teacher actually does read through the assignments. Honestly, the worst part about that was that my buddy got punished for this just for trying to help a friend out and didn't realize that in the process of trying to help a friend out, he was just gonna Control-C, Control-V and rewrite a paragraph and call it good. Mama Megmeister. Coworker stole my parking spot after crying to me how no one is nice to her. Pretty simple, cut and dry. We used to go on walks together every day for our breaks from work. She's a rather negative person, so I would try to help her think about things more positively. Some examples of our conversations. Her. I hate this job. It's not what I was expecting. Me. Honestly, management's very nice, and it could be so much worse, but we live in a big city. It'd be easy to find a better fit if need be. Her. I'm so bored, I have nothing to do. Me. When I first started and I ran out of things to do, I'd ask the bosses for work, and they're pretty helpful. One day we were walking and she was non-stop complaining about not having room to get out of her car and can't find good parking. We talked about the cars we drive and she told me she drives a RAV4 and my idiot self told her where I park my car. Sure as the next day her RAV4 is backed into the space I always park in. On top of this, one of our conversations we had, she told me that blacks are racist. The love of my life is a black man and our son is mixed. She begged me to go on these walks and eat lunch with her because she doesn't like to be alone. Now, I don't say hi to her in the morning. I go by myself on my walks since I'm comfortable being alone and went on said walks alone in the first place. Added bonus, I get along with the IT crew she constantly talks crap about so I sit with them at lunch sometimes if we're in there together. Now she's alone and trying to make new friends, but it's proving difficult for her since her internalized racism and most of our office is diverse. I actually feel bad for her because she told me her ex-husband was abusive and her church members shamed her for leaving him. She's her own worst enemy though. So I'm petty because she took my parking spot and showed her racism, so I completely ignore her unless it's necessary to speak with her. See, it really speaks to what kind of person OP was dealing with when they talk about where they park and their reaction is, "Oh, you're offering me your parking spot, so I'm going to take it." Like, it really just shows their entitlement. And that's not even like beginning to touch upon the up racism they have internalized within their head. Like, I don't even want to begin to touch that because that is a time bomb. Good lord. I wonder why no one likes me, says the most heinous ever. Like, come on. It's Mobile Landman. Boss chiseled me out of $100 and paid the price. I'm a contractor. While working on a project in a very remote location, I arranged to buy and bring 2 rounds of breakfast tacos for the staff of the county facility where I would be working for the next week in exchange for free copy privileges. The boss gave me approval on the phone, and the total for the tacos that week came out to just over $100. A great exchange as the copy budget was upwards of $1,000. My receipts, along with the supporting CC statement I submitted at the end of the billing cycle, between a week and 2 weeks after he'd verbally approved the expenses, was declined. I wasn't too angry, but a deal's a deal, and I called the boss to remind him he'd approved the expense. His response, "You should have got it in writing," pissed me off royally. But I finished the project as promised and was working on another project for another client less than a week later. A couple of months go by and the boss who chiseled me out of the money called to see if I was available to work on another project, beginning on the 1st of the next month, and after some haggling, I agreed. The work schedule would be tight, and in his words, this was an all-hands-on-deck project, with nights and weekends expected. I was also told this was a new client and they wanted to impress. A couple of days before the project was set to begin, the chiseler called to tell me the engagement paperwork was on the way and check my email. I told him I had decided to not work the project, after all. And he was furious. He screamed, and I mean screamed, "You agreed to work on this project weeks ago!" I repeated his words verbatim. "You should have gotten it in writing." See, I really hope the boss was actually able to put 2 and 2 together that the only reason why this encounter had happened was because he stiffed his employee out of money that he had agreed to pay for. Because otherwise it just looks shitty on the OP's part, and the boss is probably extremely confused as to why suddenly a contractor who used to be really good at his job is now doing bag maneuvers. But I can really only hope he put it together, because honestly, a manager who, when you ask for something and you go out of your way to purchase something to keep company expenses down, who then turns around and stiffs you and then expects you to just not be upset about it. Also, I hope OP doesn't get reprimanded for this, because that would really suck if the manager can pull like this and get away with it. Well, chances are OP's probably gonna, get some flack for this and it'll be deemed as retaliation or God knows what. But, crossing my fingers and wishing the best this doesn't blow back in OP in any negative way, because that would really suck if OP lost his job because the manager was petty over $100, so OP got petty back. But either way, even if OP does feel some sting from this, the boss is going to feel a much larger sting from the fact that he's now down a man, and definitely is going to have to figure out a way to deal with that. Should have just paid him for the tacos, man. Shadow Bonnie 5. Goodwill Karen unknowingly explodes on manager and gets banned from the store. I've been working as a Goodwill donation attendant for almost 4 years now. I've seen my fair share of entitled bits at work, but this one was too good not to share. So, it's Labor Day weekend, and of course we're getting slammed with oversized donations from a parade of customers. We're understaffed. It's only me and another worker in the back. We'll call her Jenny. The 2 of us are barely keeping up against the customers. Anyways, I lean outside to tell the woman waiting that we'll be with her in a minute, but as I'm doing so, another woman, Karen, marches up to the door, shoves the other woman out of the way, and tosses a dirty vacuum at my feet before walking off. Karen's car was at the back of the line. Our rules state that for customer safety and for our convenience, every customer must wait their turn, and they cannot dump their donations on the ground and leave. I tell Karen that she can't do that, and that she's breaking the rules. but she just ignores me as if I'm not even there. Feeling defeated, I take her dirty and now broken vacuum and toss it in the trash, telling Jenny what just happened. That's when I notice she's returning with more stuff. I step out once again and tell her that she cannot dump her items and that she has to wait her turn like everyone else. She snaps back at me, "Calm down, you little put. I don't care about your rules. I'm gonna dump my shit here and you can't do a thing about it." She marches back to her car to get another load of stuff. While this is all going down, her husband is standing in the second lane, staring me down menacingly. He looked as if he was ready to attack me at any moment, possibly trying to threaten me so his precious Karen can do whatever she wants. I walk back with Karen's donations, which were all unsellable by the way, feeling angry. Jenny witnessed Karen's outburst at this time and she's not having it. The nice lady I was helping has secondhand embarrassment. Then, right on cue, the Wicked Witch of the West marches back with her third and final load of junk. I try again to tell her that she can't do this, but this time she just ignores me completely, shoves the nice lady out of my way again, and enters the production area, which is employees only, where she comes face to face with Jenny. Jenny tells her, "Ma'am, you can't come in here." And Karen goes ballistic. She throws her trash at Jenny and says, "This is f***ing Goodwill. I'm giving you free shit, aren't I? Off," before stomping out of the building. When Karen tries to leave, 2 more cars pull up in the line behind her, trapping her in the line. Karen is absolutely seething at this point. Comes out of her car, over to me, and barks, "Go get your manager! I'm going to get you fired!" I smugly grin from ear to ear and reply, "Oh, you mean that manager, the one you just told to f*** off?" Plot twist, Jenny is the manager. Karen goes white as a sheep, huffs and sheepishly walks back to her car where she awkwardly has to wait in line, just long enough for the security cams to get her license plate. So yeah, she's permanently banned from our store now. Too long didn't read, Karen cuts in line and illegally dumps her donations on the ground at Goodwill, tells my manager to f*** off and throws trash at her, and then gets banned from the store. Honestly, she's not really abiding by the name, huh? You gotta have Goodwill to donate to Goodwill, that's part of the name. Not throwing your junk on the floor so you can get a tax write-off, it's kind of a shitty way to approach it. I mean, yeah, the tax write-off is nice, and that's one of the main reasons why you might donate things to Goodwill, but for the love of God, at least make sure they're usable things and not things you could just throw away, because it's not your personal dumpster. It's a place for you to donate something that actually still has use that you don't need anymore. Good God. Broke for life. Neighbors called the cops on me. So I moved into this house in 2017. Nice neighborhood, everyone usually friendly. Well, except for an elderly couple directly across from me. They have called the cops on everyone, for everything. They've even had numerous screaming matches with other neighbors over their rage issues. One occasion was kids playing in a public street in front of our house. Since moving in, I've been cordial, offered them food when I grilled outside, take them packages I get by mistake, say good morning and wave at them. They can barely walk, and one of them is going blind. Since moving in, I noticed they get their yard treated, and if I mow and note the treatment sign withering away in their yard, I get it and throw it away for them. Been doing this since 2017. Today, I mow, chunk their tethered sign, and go back in to enjoy my day. 45 minutes later, a deputy is knocking on my door asking what my issue is with my neighbor. Explains I threw out their sign and they called him. He, upon finding out what the sign is, gives me the "you're kidding" look. He puts it back in their yard. They sat out there commenting bullshit on their porch while the cop was there. After they left, they hurried inside. Took a picture of the sign and sent it to the HOA as a violation, as it's been out there for 2 weeks per the date on it. Hope they like the fine they get. So, for those of you who don't understand what this is, when like a grass treatment company comes and like treats the grass, they'll get like a plastic stake that has a groove and notch in it to put a paper sign that acts as an advertisement for their company and drive it into your lawn as just simply an advertisement. It's a shitty plastic stake, it lasts for maybe 2 days and then it begins to fall apart. That's the sign in question. And it's because of that I really wonder if these people just want to find reasons to piss their neighbors off or get into confrontations with their neighbors. And honestly, this is one of the few times an HOA might honestly come in clutch here. Gotta make the two worst entities in the neighborhood fight each other and see which one wins. Spoiler alert, it's gonna be the HOA. Jack Nolly, playing the long con. 15-ish years ago, my dad broke one of my mom's dinner plates. Mom has the standard issue green Daisy Corral dishes that were commonplace in the late 70s. This was the first plate to be broken, and Dad was horrified. He ran to Walmart and bought a plain white dish and stuck it at the bottom of the pile of dishes, hoping for the best. The rough plate was discovered when my sisters and I had all gathered for a visit. As I am the youngest, I was blamed. Because I am petty, I decided that it would be wrong of me to not give my mom mismatched plates. This began my quest of buying random Corral dinnerware and sticking them in her cupboard when she's not around. Star Wars luncheon plates? Perfect! Misprinted dinner plate? Don't mind if I do! Disney dessert plates? Add to cart. It's been a hoot. But today, today was the plate stashing of which I'm most proud. Those green Daisy dinner plates are available on eBay. I just added 3 of them to her cupboard. Someday, she's going to get all those plates out of her cupboard and she's going to count the green Daisy plates. And then, she's going to realize she has more of them than what she started out with. To quote Stanley Hudson from The Office, it's stupid, but it's my thing now. See, continuing the conversation from last episode from yesterday, this is a prank. This is a prank. No harm was done, benefit was given, it implies a lot of confusion, and both parties can laugh about it. See, but my problem is if I ever try to do a prank like this, I'd be too giddy and excited about it, and I'd probably be like, hey, you should go count your plates right now, or something fucking stupid like that. I don't have the patience to wait for the long con, honestly. I can never do a prank like that because I would just be too excited to see their reaction. And I'm saying this from experience. I'm really bad with long con pranks because I get too excited because I know that they're going to be briefly confused and upset, but in the end it's going to be funny. So I'm always just really giddy about it, like, oh, you should go do this. Oh, it'd be so funny. Followed by their confusion, and honestly, it's probably more confusing to see me oozing with excitement over something as stupid as whatever the hell I have planned. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.